This is part 2 of Haruto's story. I will leave a link in the first comment that leads to a playlist of all the previous and upcoming parts of this series. And now enjoy watching. Haruto wonders why his dad doesn't visit him like he usually does, and he assumes that he must be busy with something else. Suddenly, he hears a noise coming from outside, as a maid shouts while looking for bandages and antiseptics. He turns on his magical surveillance system to find out that many of the castle's soldiers are heavily injured. Haruto goes to see his dad, and asks him to explain this situation. His dad explains that he got information about the thieves' base, who have been making troubles lately. He headed there to end them for good, but he and his army ended up getting ambushed. Gold thinks that it's a horrible sight for Haruto to see at his age, so he advises Haruto to go back inside. Haruto remains quiet, and when Flay makes fun of Gold and his men for getting beaten by a band of thieves, he loses his temper and tells her to shut her mouth. Before leaving the scene, he secretly uses healing magic on all the injured soldiers, and completely heals them, confusing everyone including his father. At night, Haruto apologizes to Flay for losing his temper, after knowing that she is stupid, as she was waiting for his order to speak. Flay also feels guilty, as she thinks she has unintentionally offended him, and she apologizes. They go to the roof of the castle to attend a mini-war council. Using his surveillance magic, Haruto locates a gang of thieves, celebrating in the middle of the woods. He also notices some of them are soldiers. He then realizes that there is a spy, who informed the thieves about Gold's campaign. He flies with Flay with the intention to settle things with them, but Char happened to be looking from the window and saw them. At the castle, the thieves reveal that the captain of the soldiers is actually a spy, and he wants to get rid of Gold, so he can return to his homeland. Haruto barges in and prevents their movements, and when one of the thieves barks like a dog, he slams him to the wall. He investigates the soldiers and learns that they are soldiers of the neighboring empire, and they plan to infiltrate the kingdom by disguising as thieves and cause mayhem. It's revealed that they have an accomplice or a spy, who helped them getting across the secured borders. After accomplishing his mission, Haruto commands Flay to burn the entire fort to the ground with everyone in it, which she takes the joy in doing it. He sends an anonymous letter to his dad, explaining what happened today at the fort. The next day, Gold receives the letter and gets informed about everything. He also asks his advisor to squeeze more information from the thieves that escaped the fire. Meanwhile, Charlotte wonders who took care of the bad guys, and Gold assumes that it must be no one else other than Flay, since she has no empathy and often goes to establish her dominance over the monsters of this province, and maybe the thieves got in her way. Charlotte suspects that her brother is involved in this as well. Then she goes and confronts Flay, and she asks her if there are two Haruto, because after seeing the two of them fly away, while knowing that her brother doesn't have enough mana, she went to check on him and found him sleeping, and she didn't feel his usual menacing aura emanating from him. Flay is impressed as Char also can sense her master's immeasurable power, and she brags about how marvelous her master Haruto is. Then she tells her to not worry over trivial matters, so that she grows big like her. Later, Flay tells Haruto about her conversation with Charlotte, so he decides to set up more surveillance on Charlotte to keep track of her movements. At night, he goes out to the toilet and Charlotte follows him, as if he can't notice her. He turns around to confront her, but she immediately runs away. The next couple of days, Charlotte kept spying on Haruto, even in private places. Later, after a week of spying, Natalia decides to take Charlotte on a trip with her, as the annual festival is coming shortly. Haruto tells Natalia to take Flay with her, but she reminds him that Flay is running errands for him. Then he remembers asking Flay to intimidate the monsters of this province, so that they don't attack nearby towns and villages. Later on, his alarm which he put on Charlotte wakes him up, as the Empire soldiers are attacking his mother and sister. Natalia tries to escape while carrying Charlotte, but she got hurt from magic attacks. Haruto uses magic to guide them to safety away from the soldiers, without knowing who is guiding them. They go into a bright cave, and Natalia decides to look for the person who is helping them. She tells Charlotte that they must be heroes of justice, and she will find them while Charlotte stays inside the cave. She goes outside and finds that the cave entrance has been sealed off by illusion magic, and then Empire soldiers find Natalia as soon as she went out. She didn't want to be captured, so she decides to end herself. Suddenly, the dagger shatters to pieces and she becomes unconscious before Haruto arrives. He gets furious and defeats all the enemies. Then he carries Natalia back to the cave and changes his voice while speaking to Charlotte, telling her to take care of her mom until help comes. Charlotte recognizes his evil aura and wonders why he saved them. She confronts him asking whether he is a hero of justice. He is surprised and decides to play along. Charlotte comes closer and apologizes to him for thinking he is evil. In return, Haruto asks her to keep this a secret between them, and she gives him a promise, and then he leaves, with a justice hero excuse. Gold gets informed that his wife and daughter are safe, as Flay is escorting them, and the bodyguards who were injured in this attack have been miraculously fully healed. Gold asks Haruto about his opinion of this anonymous helper. He says that they are heroes of justice, and they will take care of the Empire soldiers whenever needed again. Saying that, Gold wondered how he knew that they were Empire soldiers. Then Haruto makes an excuse and saves himself from any suspicion, and enlightens him about the spies within the guards, which made Gold wonder how Haruto is a 9-year-old kid. Later, Charlotte and Natalia return home, and Charlotte hugs Haruto, which surprises them and makes Flay jealous. And that's the end of the video. Please tell me your opinion, and like the video. Take care, and stay tuned for the next episode.